Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
If you, like us, were somewhat puzzled by the assertion from Donald Trump yesterday that the very, very dishonest media were underreporting terrorist attacks around the world, well, the White House has now listed 78 acts of terrorism which it claims were indeed underreported. The list includes heavily covered attacks in Paris, Berlin, Nice, and Brussels. And the administration is back in court later today trying to reinstate its travel ban. Our Washington correspondent Kylie Morris joins us now. Kylie, they're busy, you're busy, what's going on?
Well, some degree of puzzlement here too, Matt, over that extraordinary list. And the media outlets here have been pushing back at a press briefing held by the White House and Sean Spicer, asking how can he justify including those events on that list when clearly most of them were very well covered by most outlets. Sean Spicer's responded by saying that the events did not get the spectacular attention that they deserve. That's a direct quote. He says that the president cares about protecting the country and he wants to show how the earth is a very dangerous place. And it speaks to his unwavering commitment to keep the country safe. Now, it also speaks to a perception of risk among American voters, which of course would help to, if you like, boost support for the current travel ban on Muslim-majority countries, on citizens from 7 Muslim-majority countries and refugees. As you mentioned, that is back before the courts tonight in San Francisco. Government lawyers will be trying to get that ban restored. But when he was asked about that today, President Trump said he is determined to push it through. Here's what he said.
We're going to take it through the system. It's very important. It's very important for the country. Regardless of me or whoever succeeds at a later date, I mean, we have to have security in our country. We have to have the ability. When you take some place like Syria, you take all of the different people pouring around. And if you remember, ISIS said, we are going to infiltrate the United States and other countries through the migration. And then we're not allowed to be tough on the people coming in? Explain that one.
Trump does seem to be coming under some pressure, Kylie. Is there any sign that the administration is cracking?
No cracks, Matt, but certainly I think some awkwardness. For example, the Homeland Security Secretary has just spoken to Congress and had to explain that maybe it would have been good if Congress had been consulted on the ban before the president signed off on it. But they've just had a big victory. They've managed to get their Education Secretary, Betsy DeVos, a very controversial appointee, finally pushed through Congress. It took Mike Pence, the vice president, to step in, but she has now been confirmed. Donald Trump is getting this cabinet together. The question is, will he listen to any of them?
Thanks, Kylie. Well, we're joined now from Henley-on-Thames by Ted Malloch, who has worked as an advisor to Donald Trump and is being lined up to become the next US ambassador to the EU. Welcome to the program, Ted Malloch. Hello, can you hear me? You're there. Are you there? Hello, Ted Malloch? Can you hear me? Hello? Okay, we'll try and get back to that later on. Ted Malloch, welcome to the program. First of all, can I ask you your reaction to the comments of the Speaker, John Bercow, who said he doesn't want Donald Trump to address the House of Commons because he is, quote, sexist and racist? What do you say to that?
Well, I thought the comments were both sad, inappropriate, and hypocritical. Sad because President Trump has just extended not just a hand, but his full arm to the British government in an act of friendship, and the renewal of the so-called UK-US special relationship was just about to restart. I thought it was inappropriate because, as a student of British politics, I thought that the Speaker's role was one sort of above politics, and frankly, he was supposed to show a degree of impartiality.
But can you see
why? Finally, I thought it was also hypocritical, because if you look back at who has spoken at the House of Parliament, you have people like the dictatorial leader of China, the king of Saudi Arabia, the president of Zimbabwe, the president of Egypt.
But can you see why,
and some
why
time
many
ago,
people in this
even
country...
the communist dictator of
Right.
Romania.
But
My
can you
question would
see-
be, what are the criteria that are being employed?
Okay. Can you see why some people in this country, in fact, many people, possibly millions of people, are not happy about the visit of Donald Trump? I mean, the petition has been signed by almost 2 million people asking him not to come, saying to the government, don't invite him on the state visit. And frankly, every morning we wake up to another torrent of tweets out of the White House, which to many people here is either puzzling or alarming. Do you see why people here in Europe
There
and
are a
in
large
England are
number of
upset about
people in
it?
the United States as well who didn't vote for this president, who are protesting his presidency or trying to delegitimize it at every turn. So he definitely has his opponents, both in the United States and elsewhere in the world. Of course, he was elected in the American election through our electoral college in an overwhelming vote. So yes, I'm quite aware of the protests. And in fact, that's the nature of democracy. One should be allowed to protest.
But the nature of democracy is also respect for your opponents and respect for the institutions of your great country. Now, when Donald Trump tweets about so-called judges and calls their judgments in federal court betrayal, do you sit comfortably with that as an academic, as someone who teaches about the American system?
Well, I think we have a different style of presidency, clearly. He uses a different kind of rhetoric. He used it during the campaign. Some people thought it would go away when he became president. I was at the inauguration. His inauguration speech was different, frankly, than many other inaugurations. And he uses Twitter and social media to communicate directly with the public in a much different style. So no, there is no change.
So tell me, does he, and indeed do you, relish the opprobrium that you're getting in places like Europe? I mean, when you said that the other day that you think the European Union might need some unraveling, and people got very upset in Brussels, people called you malevolent, they said they were going to block your nomination as US ambassador. Do you actually like that? Do you like that kind of opprobrium?
No, I'm not seeking it. It's not something that anyone or any one government would choose. In order to call someone malevolent, I've said you have to have a theory of good and evil, and I don't think that they do. So I think it's a mischaracterization. But we are also in a different historical period. So America's relationship with the European Union is going to be different under President Trump than it was under President Obama.
Okay, Ted Malloch, thank you very much indeed.
I've been getting